organic, unpredictable, unknown, lovely, beautiful, a sense of fulfillment. This is part of the pleasures of life and not the chores of life.
Coming up on tonight's Daily Iowan TV.
University of Iowa is making more of a presence online, on TV, and in the mailbox. We'll tell you why.
And the popular e-cigarettes could be going up in smoke.
And in sport,
we've got everything you need to know from this past weekend's Cy-Hawk football game.
All this and much more next on Daily Iowan TV.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Selena Carr.
And I'm Austin Love. Today in Indianola, local and national politicians gathered for the last Harkin Steak Fry after 37 years. But the real headline isn't Harkin or steak, it was Hillary Clinton. This is Hillary's first return to Iowa since 2008, and many are speculating this as being a presidential campaign starter. Be sure to check out the full coverage of all the day's events tomorrow night on Daily Iowan TV and in the pages of the Daily Iowan.
And this weekend was a busy one on campus with all the Cy-Hawk series festivities going on, Austin.
Absolutely, Selena. It was packed everywhere, especially before and after the game Saturday. But to start off the excitement, the University of Iowa hosted a Beat State pep rally Friday afternoon.
That's right. Hundreds of students and Iowa City community members got together on the Pinterest for hot chocolate and black and gold spirit. The ESPNU road trip was there, along with the band and spirit squads to help pump up Hawkeye fans before the game.
And to finish off the rally, Herky led ROTC members as they ran the game ball in from Ames.
And while the Cyclones managed to edge out the Hawkeyes in football this year, Iowa State University also leads in undergraduate enrollment. Daily Iowan TV's Tanner Sigworth finds out what Iowa is doing to attract more students from Iowa.
The class of 2018, the largest freshman class in Iowa's history, 4,666 students. But Iowa State University had a bigger year, enrolling 6,041 freshman students. But the big number here is 58% of those freshmen were from Iowa. A big factor now that the Iowa Board of Regents plans to appropriate more money to schools with more in-state students.
It bases 60% of the appropriations on in-state undergraduate enrollment.
Of Iowa's recent freshman class, only 47% of students are Iowa residents.
The university stands to lose quite a lot of state appropriation money.
The university is starting a large marketing campaign to attract students from Iowa, including reaching out to students at a younger age.
We generally have been recruiting students beginning their junior year, and we know that a lot of universities start communicating with students much earlier. Decided that we're going to visit every Iowa high school, which we have not been doing.
The university looks to make their presence known through a number of advertisements.
The University for Iowa is kind of the theme. Billboards, a lot of electronic media ads, TV commercials, radio spots.
All of this to make sure students give Iowa a visit and experience it for themselves. Tanner Sigworth, Daily Iowan TV.
The university met its goal of enrolling 200 more students for this year and hope the number continues to rise.
With a big push for in-state students and higher enrollment, the University of Iowa took an in-depth look at the class of 2018. It is the largest class to ever go through the UI, having over 4,600 students. They are also one of the smartest classes, with 523 old gold scholars and the highest GPA in UI history. The class of 2018 is made up of 20% minority students, which also makes it the most diverse class in school history.
And the Board of Regents is considering approving a project to build a new residence hall. This dorm would house 800 students on the east side of campus and possibly have another dining hall. The building would cost around $80 million to complete and would be up to 10 stories tall.
The University of Iowa's own Allie Olson is competing tonight in the 2015 Miss America pageant down in Atlantic City. Olson is a senior music major here at the UI. Her platform for a competition is focused on promoting service, inclusion, and diversity. After the newscast, head over to ABC to see how she's doing. Good luck, Allie.
America celebrates the 20th anniversary of the Star-Spangled Banner this weekend. Written by Francis Scott Key in 1814, the national anthem was inspired by the Battle Baltimore. The song was made the nation's anthem in 1931 by President Herbert Hoover. And still, coming your way on Daily Iowan TV, see what City Council is proposing to make Iowa City a completely smoke-free city.
And a recap on the Iowa State match from this weekend. After a beautiful football weekend, I wonder if the cool fall weather is here to stay.
You know, I should really hope so. Let's turn it over to the Daily Iowan TV weather studio where our own Katie Sextro is standing by with a forecast. Katie?
After Monday is out of the way, a nice week is approaching, much like the last few days here on campus. Tomorrow morning will be chilly and rainy, so as you're headed to class, make sure you've got a jacket and umbrella, and we'll see temps around 53 degrees. By the afternoon, it'll warm up to about 57, and the rain will continue. Tomorrow evening, the rain should finally let up, and the temperature will fall to around 52. As we look to the rest of the week, Tuesday appears to be a clear day with a high in the mid-60s. It will be chilly Tuesday night again, with a low in the 40s. Don't put the t-shirts and shorts away yet, though. The last 3 days of the school week look beautiful, with highs in the upper 60s and low 70s. Even though Wednesday and Friday will be a bit cloudy, the rain should stay away for most of the week. But by the beginning of the weekend, that chance of storms will be back with temps in the low 70s. That's all I've got here in the weather studio. Selena and Austin, back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Katie. And as e-cigs continue to grow in popularity, so are the restrictions on them. I met with locals to take a deeper look on how Iowa City is handling the topic. It has been the Wild West of smoking, e-cigarettes. The biggest trend in smoking has virtually been unregulated, but those who use them will start seeing more restrictions in Iowa City. By decision of the Iowa City Council, e-cigs will now be prohibited on all city-owned property, including parking garages, the pedestrian mall, and buses. With these changes, Connection Manager Roger Keane understands what the city is doing.
I think it's a good thing, at least for now. In government buildings, I understand it, and on their property, they don't allow traditional smoking. This is typically a lot less intrusive than regular traditional smoking. But at the same time, they kind of have to look out for their best interest.
With the subtle nature of these e-cigarettes, everywhere on campus become a smoker's lounge, including the indoors. Having more restrictions on these e-cigs would restrict students from smoking on campus, something that student Anthony Izerinsky is very excited to see.
If there are special spots for that, I think that's perfectly fine, but in a situation like this, with a big public campus, I think that these regulations, these rules work perfectly fine for the betterment of the entire campus as a whole.
Even though there are more restrictions being placed on e-cigarettes, there's still a very bright future.
In the long run, it'll be good for the business. But it's going to take a little while. It's still very new. There's always things that have to be ironed out, and bureaucracy takes time.
Austin Love, Daily Iowan TV.
North Korea sends an American captive to 6 years of hard labor. Korean officials have been holding Matthew Miller since early April this year and accused him of entering the country illegally and spying. Korean News has previously reported Miller tore up his tourist visa and wanted to claim asylum. He is one of 3 U.S. citizens being detained in North Korea.
A video was released yesterday of another beheading by Islamic terrorist group ISIS. The victim was British aid worker David Haynes. Haynes was in Syria organizing humanitarian aid to refugee camps when he was abducted in 2013. This is the 3rd video of its kind that ISIS has released. The other 2 victims were American journalists. UI fellow Bruce Grombeck died Wednesday at age 73. Grombeck was a retired UI professor and considered one of the leading scholars in rhetoric and media in the world. Grombeck passed away while in Iowa City, where he was being honored by the UI College of Liberal Arts and Sciences as an alumni fellow. And Iowa football was in action this weekend with the Cy-Hawk Series game. And what an exciting and somewhat disappointing game for us Hawkeyes. To fill us in on the highlights from this weekend's sports, let's toss it over to Chelsea Brown and Cody Goodwin in the Daily Iowan TV Sports Studio.
That's right, guys. Iowa fans predictably disappointed after Iowa's 3rd loss in 4 years to in-state rival Iowa State. Inside the sports studio, I'm Cody Goodwin.
And I'm Chelsea Brown. We'll recap the 20-17 loss against the Cyclones in just a bit. But first, the Hawkeyes had their own star in attendance for the 4th quarter thriller. The star of the 19th edition of ABC's The Bachelor, Chris Soules, watched on. The Arlington, Iowa native gave the trophy off to the winner of the Cy-Hawk series, and Soules was also seen before the game signing autographs and taking numerous photos with the fans. You can catch the season of his show premiering in January of 2015 on ABC.
Now we get to the actual football game. The Hawkeyes came into this weekend with a 2-0 record, but their undefeated streak has come to an end. It was an unexpected loss for Iowa this weekend as they took on in-state rival Iowa State, and our football reporter Laura Belanda has the highlights from Saturday's matchup.
This is Laura Belanda here at Kinnick Stadium, where we wrapped up the 2014 Cy-Hawk series with a disappointing last-minute loss for the Hawkeyes. Let's take a look at some of those highlights from Saturday's game. The annual interstate rivalry between the Hawkeyes and the Cyclones proved yet again to be one of the most interesting games of the non-conference season. The Hawkeye defense held the Cyclones for the first quarter, while the offense marched down the field, resulting in a Wiseman touchdown. The second quarter puts Iowa State on the board with a 29-yard field goal, the score 7-3. Iowa answers back with a rushing touchdown by quarterback Jake Rudock. The score now 14-3. The Iowa offense struggles slightly in their next series as Rudock is sacked from behind with a loss of yardage. Iowa State attempts a rushing touchdown but fumbles in the end zone with recovery by Iowa's Greg Maben. The Cyclones answer with a 3-yard touchdown. The score now 14-10. The end of the fourth quarter is when things really start to get interesting. The score 17-17 in just seconds on the clock. Iowa State kicks a field goal, and it's no good. Iowa then calls a timeout, resulting in a re-kick. The field goal is good. Iowa State 21, Iowa 17. The Cy-Hawk Trophy is now in the hands of Iowa State. And until next year, its new home is Ames, Iowa. This has been Laura Belanda with Daily Iowan TV Sports. Now to Taylor Brooks.
Saturday's loss against the Cyclones may have been a disappointing loss, but some positives came out of the game as Jake Rudock showed how versatile of a player he could be. College quarterbacks all have one thing in common, a good arm, but having other talents like Hawkeye Jake Rudock play a key role as well.
And everyone's going to have their opinions on, hey, we should have ran the ball more, we should have threw the ball more, we should have done this package. I mean, film will tell, but you can make a opposing argument to any call that we make. So.
With this loss on Saturday, the Hawkeyes went to focus on improving their running game.
But it just, we didn't have the kind of consistency in the second half to really feel like we saw improvement in anything right now. So we'll look at the tape tomorrow and see where we're at.
For Rudock, his side of the running game has kept him at the second leading rusher on the team, but the offense still struggled to keep in rhythm.
But, we're still not where we're at, and that's why we got, I think, 9 more games left, and, we're going to do our best to improve for next week.
Rudock also improved his throwing game as well on Saturday, totaling 146 yards. Even with that, improvement is key in the eyes of the Hawkeyes.
We need to keep improving in every facet. Day in and day out, one play at a time, just improve. That's what Iowa football, the best Iowa football teams do, and that's what we need to do to become a good team.
The Hawkeyes move forward because even with a skillful quarterback like Rudock, it's a team effort.
We want to obviously score every time we get the ball, but second half we just kind of sputtered there and just really couldn't get anything going.
Taylor Brooks, Daily Iowan TV Sports.
Great work, ladies. And as for the Hawkeyes, well, they'll hit the road for the first time all season against Pittsburgh University on Saturday, September 20th at Heinz Field.
Well, that'll do it for us here in the sports studio, but we will continue our football coverage in Monday's program as we take a look at free safety Jordan Lomax and his ejection during the game against the Cyclones.
We'll also have an inside look at an impressive performance from the women's soccer team, which now stands at 2-0 in Big Ten play after their defeat of Northwestern earlier this afternoon.
Selena, Austin, back to you guys in the studio.
And only with Daily Iowan TV can you get an inside look at tomorrow's pages of the Daily Iowan.
Suicide prevention is taking the streets. Read about the 5th annual Out of Darkness Walk.
And find out why the EPB basement wing is being closed for 5 weeks. Before we leave you for tonight, check out this catchy video from the Delta Sigma Phi fraternity at Transylvania University.
The men of the fraternity made this cover video of Taylor Swift's new song, Shake It Off, and it has gone viral.
I can definitely see why. They have some pretty good dance moves, and it's all for a good cause. They even put a link at the bottom of the video asking for viewers to donate to leukemia treatment.
Definitely a cool thing for those guys to do, and even better, that's for a good cause.
Yeah, what about your fraternity? You think you guys are going to do that?
Yeah, I'll bring it up to the guys, but I don't know if our dance moves will quite fare with theirs.
Yeah. Well, that's all we have for you tonight on Daily Iowan TV. Check us out anytime online at dailyiowan.com and watch again tomorrow night, same time and place.
Thanks for joining us and have a great night.
I joined and now I'm in Los Angeles, California, interning for Conan O'Brien at Warner Brothers Studios.
I joined and now I'm working in public relations for diabetes research.
SJC.